99.9% of Midnight in Paris is beautiful and makes me want to go to Paris, makes me want to people watch, it makes me want to live, baby. But the 1% that's on my brain, and it's not really a big part of this, but it's on my brain, which is I hate it when pedantic assholes are right. Written and directed by Woody Allen, the 2011 fantasy and comedy Midnight in Paris follows Gil Pender, Owen Wilson, a nostalgic Hollywood screenwriter vacationing in Paris with his materialistic and fucking annoying fiancée, Inez, played wonderfully by Rachel McAdams. Each night at midnight, Gil is magically transported to the 1920s, where he meets artistic idols like Ernest Hemingway, Gertrude Stein, F. Scott Fitzgerald, Dali, forcing him to evaluate his present life and romanticize notions of the past. The movie is actually based, or at least partly based on Hemingway's book, A Movable Feast, and Woody Allen actually wrote the phrase "a movable feast" into the dialogue, which is very interesting. Don't romanticize the past. Nostalgia is dangerous, at least in part, and that's the theme of this movie. And the reason I say that it sucks when pedantic assholes are right, I'm referring to Michael Sheen's character, who said that nostalgia is denial. So as much as I hate his character and Rachel McAdams' characters, he was kind of right. That was something that Gil Pender, played by Owen Wilson, fantastically played by Owen Wilson, was right. But I think he heard that message, and we can kind of put that aside. Now, one of the things that I love about this movie, referencing just what I said before, which is it might have been more subconscious, that he takes the nostalgia is denial thing and learns from it by the end of it. The whole journey is like a hero's journey of him going through these events and these time travel events and these real life present events with his fiancée to find himself in a place where he knows what he has to do. He has to get back to the present. He's stuck in the past. He thinks about being in the 1920s and how that's going to somehow solve his problems. You could probably argue that it's also travel, right? He thinks Paris is going to bring out the best in him. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But the point is that this whole movie is his journey, and I think it might be Woody Allen's best movie. So getting back to the being able to listen to things or being able to follow things, here's what I love about this movie. Let's just say, for example, there's one scene where he takes his fiancée and they're just a terrible match. She's such a terrible person. She's too good of an actor, Rachel McAdams. He brings her to the spot where he finds the taxi from the 1920s and he gets in, and it takes him back in time. He experiences it. He comes back. He tries to bring his fiancée, and they wait, and it doesn't arrive because she's there. It also isn't midnight yet, I guess. But the point is that that's what's supposed to happen. That he knew that he was supposed to stay there. He wasn't supposed to go back to the hotel with her. He wasn't supposed to let her walk all over his life for 20 years as, being married to someone that he's not supposed to be married to. And he listens to the universe. That's what I love about this movie. He goes with his gut. Think about how many people, if you had to remake this movie and you had different people, the average person, say, not all of them, of course, but like just a lot of people, how many people would have went back to Malibu and went back to being a screenwriter and married this person, and did all the things that they didn't want to do and passed on the things that they did want to do? What's that story look like? That is, to quote Gertrude Stein later, like that's the story you don't want to see on screen. Because there's another incident where he's at the market with his wife or his fiance, and he hears, after already traveling back in time, he hears Cole Porter being played by a beautiful woman, a French woman, ooh la la, over in the corner. He wanders over there and starts talking to her, setting up the ending of the film where he walks off with her after he has left his fiancée, because he listened to the universe giving him the sign. He's here thinking about the 1920s and Cole Porter and Hemingway and all these people, the Fitzgeralds, and he's at a market with his fiancée, whatever. He should be paying attention, but he hears the music and he goes over there. That's the universe telling him to go over there, and he listens and he does it. And look what happens. Everything works out. And it's the same thing when he tells his wife that he wants to go for a walk. She doesn't want to walk in Paris. She doesn't really love him, right? He's clinging on to an idea of love, I think. Maybe she is too. but he wants to walk. She doesn't want to have anything to do with it, but he takes a walk, and that's how he finds this place in the 1920s time travel thing in the first place. Also, I just want to say this. I saw a lot of comments online saying how it's not a time travel movie and it's whatever. It's a way of, even if it's just his imagination, this thing is about the journey of him finding himself and finding out what he's supposed to do, listening to the universe, right? That's talking to him. Like it's talking to you now. It's talking to me too every day. I'm not very good at listening to it. Or if I do hear it, I don't have the courage to go through with it a lot of the times, or as many times as I would like, right? But he does. And he finds his way to where he's supposed to be because he's open to it, because he's putting himself in the position to succeed. Okay, so some of my favorite lines I have to share with you from this movie are when Gertrude Stein tells him she just sold one of his Picasso works for 500 francs. And Owen Wilson says, yeah, I was thinking I might pick up a couple of those myself. And then the other moment where they're talking, his fiance and his parents are talking about how much they hate the moonstone necklace he gave him, and they kind of argue for a minute, and then he goes, oh, everybody's down on moonstone right now. It's crazy. It's such an Owen Wilson moment, and it's just so funny. And the quote that I was talking about earlier by Gertrude Stein, I thought was really great. And it's this: we all fear death and question our place in the universe. The artist's job is not to succumb to despair, but to find an antidote for the emptiness of existence. Mwah! Beautiful. I mean, could you say it any better? She had read the first draft of his book, and she came back to him and said, look, you're a great writer. This is great. And then she laid that quote on him. So he goes back and he takes her advice. He takes it into consideration. He tweaks it, not twerks. Maybe he twerks. I don't know. But he tweaks it and he brings it back to her. She reads it and says, you got it. And that is what I love about this movie. Now there's a difference between movies like, let's say, Onibaba, where you walk away from them, and this is not saying that I don't love those movies too. I do. They have a different energy, different vibe, different feel. But you walk away from them feeling like kind of heavy, and you want to think about the real existential questions and start asking, am I relevant? Do I mean anything? Is any of this meaningless? Is it all meaningless? Is anything worthwhile? What's the point of me getting up in the morning? And to hear Gertrude Stein say that the artist's job is to, The artist's job is to find an antidote for the emptiness of existence. That is Paris as well. I mean, that is not only writing, and it's like what Hemingway said. I don't know if he said it in this movie, but in order to be a good writer, you have to live an interesting writer. You have to live an interesting life, or whatever the quote is. And it's so true. You have to find an antidote to the emptiness of existence. We all feel it. It's all there. That's why this movie is great. The other movies, like I mentioned, Onibaba, you could talk about lots of other ones too. Das Boot, of course. Heavy, beautiful movies, but in this case, I think she's right to say in this type of movie that the antidote for the emptiness of existence perfectly encapsulates what this movie, I think, is about. You've got a guy wandering. You've got a guy looking for something. He's searching for something. It's in him the whole time. But he finally finds it. He finally goes on these adventures. He's got all these beautiful women, Marion Cotillard, oh la la. And then, the beautiful, I don't remember her name, I'm sorry, but the beautiful woman at the end who ran the market, Cole Porter, the old gramophone things. And he's finding an antidote to his problems. That's the journey, right? I would assume that we could say that you should be able to find happiness wherever you go, right? You live in Butte, Montana. You live in, and I'm sure that's a fine place. Montana's beautiful. You live in Saskatchewan or Miami or wherever you live. Should we be able to find happiness there? Yes. However, I do think there are some places that connect with each person more. I'm not supposed to live in Pensacola, Florida. Pensacola is a nice place, I guess. I don't know. I drove through there once. It was fine. It was on the water, I think, and it's great. It's not for me, but it's for somebody else. Paris, on the other hand, does feel for me. I love it. I'm inspired by it. When I hear jazz and I see think about the opening shots of this movie. when we're talking about Paris being for a lot of people, I think it's 3 minutes of Parisian shots, just shots of the city and people walking around. 3 or 4 minutes. And it holds your attention because it has that kind of power. As Owen Wilson said, Paris might be the hottest place in the universe, you know? So I smiled throughout this whole movie. It's beautiful. That's it. I walked out thinking, now what a movie. It's one of the movies. It's one of the types of movies that I think make going to movies great, or watching movies. But what a movie. What a film. That's what a movie is, or what it's supposed to be. A great movie. Not supposed to be, you know what I mean. It's just a beautiful movie told in a certain way. And it's just funny and charming. And it's got all these layers to it. And I remember listening to Quentin Tarantino talk about it. And he was saying, I like Tarantino. I don't know. I just love his mind and on movies. And he was saying how the first time he watched it, he found Owen Wilson kind of annoying and he didn't really get it. But the more he watched it with friends or girlfriends or whatever, he started to get more into it. And he just started connecting with it more. I connected with it right away, but I know what he means in terms of my interest and connection to it getting stronger with every viewing. So Midnight in Paris, it's a fantastic movie. Listen, don't forget to sign up for Movie Raffle Club on Patreon. It's where you sign up for Patreon, you support this channel, and every month I pick one of the Patreon members out of a hat, putting all their names into a hat or a beret, shall we say, and I send that person a collection of DVDs every month. Beautiful, tangible DVDs for your support. What more could you ask for? All right. Midnight in Paris. Mwah! Beautiful movie. I can't wait to watch it again. I might actually watch it tonight.